Welcome back to MaxBet Podcast. I'm Hillary McAfee, and we're doing something a little bit differently today. Mike could not make it, so we found a different Mike to fill his seat. We have Mike Trask with us.
Those are big shoes to fill.
They are. It's a big chair to fill.
It is a big chair. I feel
okay.
small in the big chair.
It's going to be a little bit of a different episode also because we have very exclusive news happening. Do you know about this?
No, tell me more.
Okay. It's very exclusive. We've never done that on MaxBet before. Basically, a verbal press release is what we're doing right now. You have some very big news.
I do?
Yes.
Okay. What is it? Well,
Did your people prep you for this?
No, not at all.
Right,
not
cool.
at all.
I love that.
So I'm incoming Chief Product Officer at Eclipse Gaming Systems. And so in lieu of doing a press release and the kind of traditional stuff, we want to do games a little bit different. I think you've started to see some of the marketing effort look a little bit different. The way we're releasing products a little bit different. And I thought this was a unique way to go about that and start doing these kind of announcements is in more of a podcast format or more of a social media format. Again, trying to showcase just little ways you can break with kind of the traditional run-of-the-mill. We get a new person on the team, and we're going to do a little press release. We're going to email it out. Just thought it would be a fun thing to do.
And you're from a marketing background, too. So
I come from that world.
You know the comms world of how we roll these things out.
So it was fun, and it's going to get a ton more eyes than anything most companies are going to do, just posting on their social media channels and so forth.
I love that you believe in us like that. I also hope that is well.
That would be good. It would be a positive outcome. Yeah. If nobody watched it at all, that would be pretty
That'd be disappointing.
Negative, yeah.
For people who don't know you, you made the jump from marketing to product, helped create some very big titles over at Ainsworth. Now you're a part of the new dawn at Eclipse, which I don't know if you guys realize that is so close. I wish you would have done Breaking Dawn.
Breaking Dawn?
Do you know why?
I don't.
Because it's Twilight.
Oh.
Because their books are like Eclipse, Breaking Dawn, and
we'll have to tell the marketing team there to maybe follow that up and see.
You just need to put out a cabinet at G2E called Twilight.
Well, we've got one called Callisto.
Okay, well, that's not Twilight.
Okay, well, that's the moon of Jupiter, I believe it is where the name comes from.
I was looking at one of those reports that comes out every month, with like the cabinets.
Yeah.
And they all sound like car models.
Oh, it's fun trying to come up with one, too. With all the trademarks out there and everything, you go through. I've been involved in this process a number of different times. And then everybody just calls it the 49, right? In the field, the customers. So, but it's called Callisto. It's the moon of Jupiter. It's huge for the company, right? I mean, this is the first box Eclipse has done in more than 5 years. I think it really takes the company visually to that sort of next level, right? I mean, we're in the full 4K screens. It's a full touchscreen button deck, dual bash buttons, a lot of integrated lighting and additional capacity in the hardware. I'd argue one of the better industry standard cabinets out there, but it really gives the tools for our game design team, people such as myself, a real canvas to paint on. And the team involved in that at Eclipse has done a tremendous job. They unveiled it at IGA, and it's going to be commercially available here coming up in late summer, fall. Okay. And it's really a real symbol of the progress and the change that's happening at the company. And we think it's going to lead to some great growth.
Can you give me the most unserious elevator pitch version of how you got to where you are now?
Blind luck. I moved to Vegas as a newspaper reporter, and I worked in politics, and I happened to be lucky enough to get a job at Bally Technologies, whatever it was, 17 years ago or something at this point. I mean, me and Mike, who usually sits here, I think he was maybe a junior product manager there, and and so tons of people kind of went through there and developed the first of many great mentors. And I think it's just surrounding yourself and finding those right people. And I was lucky enough to whether it's Darren Hunsberger and Mike Dreitzer at Ainsworth, or Dan Savage and Julia Bogoslavsky and Laura Olsen Reyes, and I could go down the list. I'm missing people, but they really taught me this thing and showed me what it was. I just fell in love with it.
I love that. I love, first of all the names you just dropped.
I know, it's so crazy,
that was such a flex.
All these people. Yeah. I don't know, I don't mean it as a flex, right? it gave me this really cool perspective of the industry.
When you were in marketing, how did you get into product? Were you just like, guys, I got an idea? Or was it like, hey, this Mike guy, he's got some ideas. Did you step on anybody's toes? Like, because that's hard to navigate going into someone else's territory.
I came, coming through early in the career in Bally and through the Shufflemaster acquisition of that period. I was always like the marketing kid. I mean, I did the trade shows and the product slicks, and we got to do a print ad. And I mean, we used to do like crazy stuff at that point, right? Like, I think some of the bigger companies are still doing it, but it's really, we're going to mail a Michael Jackson greatest hit CD to every customer. And it was a ton of fun, right? Is what it gave me is this like introduction to these games. And like, I'd go to G2E and I don't know, I'm sure I wasn't the best at it. And I'm sure it rubbed some people the wrong way that I was the one doing it. But it was like, okay, you're going to go on camera with so-and-so and explain how this game works. And you're like, well, you better figure out how that game works, like, quick. Because they're standing there. It gave me that introduction into it. When I moved over to Ainsworth, and I'm so grateful to them, because there was just so much, more room of things to do. And I don't know how exactly, if I wanted it or if it was just hoist upon me or it just became natural. I don't even know that I got permission, right? And I went out and I literally found a mathematician who's so good. I got lucky. There was nobody to say no. I don't think you could pull that off at maybe IGT, I don't think you can just...
Yeah, I don't think Light and Wonder's let's go.
Yeah, I don't think, but, I mean, it wasn't like I did it in secret, but it was this weird thing where, we were waiting for a new CPO to come in. There was, some turnover in the studio, and I sort of just de facto, I was running the roadmap, and there was gaps, and I knew that we needed to fill those gaps badly. And so we started making games, and people, we all worked on, and I cannot take anywhere near full credit for, but these Sanbao, Sanfa games that did really well. But people don't talk about the 3 times we missed before that, right? But both Mike Dreitzer and Darren Hunsberger, who are my bosses at Ainsworth, just always gave me a ton of room to just go. From there, it was I really like this, and I don't really want to handle the roadmap anymore. Well, I never thought I'd be a CPO. I think it makes sense for the role I've been asked to play at Eclipse, and I'm super excited about it.
So you are stepping into Eclipse during what's being called the New Dawn.
The New Dawn.
The New Dawn.
Not the Twilight New Dawn.
Well, that would have been Breaking Dawn. Again,
that's Breaking
so
Dawn.
Close,
We're close.
So far away. How would you describe what Eclipse is building right now? What are you guys doing?
Look, I think the company is, we think, on the edge of something really, really cool. They've invested in a ton of other talent who has experience at, some pretty big companies. Russ Witt, who was certainly one of the reasons that I joined Eclipse as well. Tim Menard, who's our CEO, has an incredible vision, very forward thinking. And, they're bringing ETGs to Class 2. That was just approved. Those will be out, very soon in that world. Looking at the opportunities in HHR for a company like Eclipse. I think in our space, in this era, we're very uniquely positioned to do some really, really cool stuff and have a pretty neat impact.
Looking 2 to 5 years out, how do you balance what the market says it wants today versus where gaming is actually heading?
Ah, boy, it's the $1 million question, right? All kinds of people, some of our big competitors have thousands of people thinking about this every day. I mean, player preferences change, right? They do, from hold and spin to perceived persistent pots to all this different stuff. From my standpoint on the game dev side, I don't know that I'm trying to predict the future, but I know that the pure act of the gamble. I'm a player. That's my secret thing. I love to play slots. I'm going to leave here. I'm going to drive across the street to the casino and play because I want to see what everybody's doing, and I like it. And giving players a good experience, a good chase, understanding the math modeling, making sure your wins are right, doing all these things. You learn new tools. Right now it's AI, right? We're starting to use AI for art development and all this different stuff. There's an ETG, then there's a million different pieces of hardware technology and all this stuff. Following that is extremely important. But to me, as is the simple fact that like a good game needs to give that player that wow factor. And it's almost that thing like if you're watching a movie and suspension of disbelief is the term they taught me in college. Suspension of disbelief where you no longer think you're watching, Landman. You think Billy Bob Thornton's like really an oil guy. If you give those players those same things, and if I experience that, if someone that does that, that I'm playing the game, and I know it's a slot machine. I know the RTP at the local casino in Vegas is somewhere in the 88 to 90% range. I know the hit frequency of this game on the bonus is going to be somewhere in a 60 to 90 spins. I know this. I know the perceived persistence isn't real per se, but it still captures me, and I'm still thinking like, it's going to go. Guys, we got to get another $100 and put it in there because I'm telling you it's going to go. When games do that, no matter the technology behind them, that experience to the player is why they go to the casino. Oftentimes in the technology discussion, we can lose track of that as game designers.
No, that's so true. And I feel like I've talked to hundreds of slot players here in the U.S. and nationwide.
Yeah.
And they light up when they talk about what's happening on the screen, or like
you see them in the casino.
Happen, like this is gonna, it's
gonna
go.
I do this for a living, and I'm like touching the screen, like I know.
Are you a button slapper, man?
Well, I'll get mad at it, like. Okay. I'll change the bets because that's gonna change, anything I can think of, right? Yeah. Take the player's card out and put it back in again because it's gonna. You name it.
When you're going into like game design, what's like the percentage breakdown of like your data from operators, player feedback? What's the breakdown? What's like the science to kind of formulate the next best thing?
If you're looking at the games you're making, right, the first question I ask is, what is the goal of this game? This question in of itself, I feel like often gets lost in the game design process. So you're looking at, is this something we're doing, these fast follows? Like the games I've been involved in that have done the best, it's, pots and wheels and you name it. But is looking at that first, if it's that type of game, I want to see the data. But I'm a big fan of playing some of the odds in these things. Let's not make things up wholesale. Same thing when you're looking at these progressive levels and whatnot. It's market demands. The math thing to me is getting those hit frequencies right, particularly on bonuses and what kind of volatility there is, which you go down that rabbit hole. But if I had to say it, I want to start with a concept that feels like it's going to meet the industry needs. Then I want to start getting opinions on it. And that to me is where player focus groups, the YouTubers who are, some of them are like incredible. And in this instance, it's great. You can put a game out. If I put a game out today, by tomorrow morning, somebody'd have it on it's. Yeah. And so some of them are very, very savvy because they're players first. They were players before YouTubers. So I look at it, a data first, then going into that. And then there's an element of this is just, does it pass the smell test? Mm-hmm. And I wish I could quantify that with some piece of data or get some opinion, but at some point you have to trust your instincts.
What comes first? Is it the math model or is it like the art and the theme of a game?
Right now, in my development process, I'm doing some pairing. I'll take ideas from anywhere. For starters, right? We just did a pitch day. Good game pitches can come from a mathematician. It can come from an artist. It can come from somebody in marketing. It can come from a technician. If you find the gem of things, you build around that. I'd say the first few projects we're working on at Eclipse are certainly improving art. I'd say they were art-driven, But we have some very talented mathematicians who, have models. If you're pitching a 3-pot game, right, I mean, now you're just math modeling that out. So they're art-driven on that point, but I've seen a lot of successful games be math-driven. I'll let you know when I figure it out.
I love that. Please keep me.
I'll call you up.
Yeah. So you've seen like the full life cycle from like concept to game development to getting on the casino floor.
Many times.
At what point is it most likely to like blow up? If something is to happen, at what
blow
stage?
up? I mean,
what stage is it like, oh God, we gotta, like, if we make it through here, we're good?
I think anybody in land-based casino game design would tell you that the compliance process can be the most arduous. There's a lot of rules to follow, rightfully so. I'm not suggesting they shouldn't be followed, but that's probably, or maybe it's just my least favorite, right? But say, that's where you're gonna, that QA, every game every idea starts as this is the greatest idea in the world, right?
Yeah,
like, I'm not like, oh, let's make a bad game. I'd say that's where you start to, at least in my experience, have timeline issues and so forth. And there's ways to clean that up. Even at Eclipse, we just brought in a new head of QA who's extremely experienced and excited to have him on board to help us with that. But that would be my short answer.
What's usually the hardest call you have to make? Like if something's not going well, is it let's just send it out anyway and hope for the best? Is it we're scrapping it?
It's a balance, right? It's a great question because I kind of just walked into like some half-built projects. Thinking of hard decisions, I don't know that they're really the hardest decisions you have to make in any kind of leadership role are necessarily product-based. I think they tend to be more people-based. You can throw good money after bad, so to speak, right? Trying to keep projects alive and we've got to do this. Just why do we have to do it? Well, because we're 80% there and we've spent all this time. And you're like, yeah, but if it's not going to work. And then there's always that thought, yeah, but maybe it works because, one time there was a game that came out of nowhere. But again, if you don't have that chase and you don't have that feel, I would say that at that point, you made some pretty big mistakes in your pre-production, right? And I've been there, right? Like, oh no, like I should have thought of that 7 months ago.
Yeah, came back to bite you.
Yeah. You learn from your mistakes, though, right? I mean, I've learned way more in this industry from all the terrible, horrible mistakes I've made. Like, I like to learn them like the hard, slow, stupid way. You know what I mean? Like, and I think game dev is a place that happens a lot.
Because you're only seeing like 1% of the games that actually make it, right? Like there's so many that, I guess, successful games.
Yeah, for every Devil's Lock or Phoenix Link or these games that have become phenomenons, Huff and Puff now, right? It's like there's a lot of games that players didn't accept. We track what the winners are doing really well, right? You can find data reams upon data reams about how great a top 25 game is doing, and you get that game that's like, well, it went to 6 sites and nobody played it. I don't know that we as an industry always explore the why to that, because again, that's almost more sometimes useful data, especially to, look, Eclipse is a small company. It's a small studio in comparison to a lot of our competition. We have to be selective on things and have to avoid those, or it's a lot greater risk on each product we choose to do. I don't know that anybody's done a great job of that. It's like, why didn't it work? Never hear that. I hear I've had a million conversations about why that game works. Because the real strips do this and that. You're like, okay, but why didn't this one?
Mike and I joke with all the award shows that are in gaming, we're like, they should have like a Razzies version.
I have a friend who's pitched the Razzies should be.
We need the Razzies of like, this was so bad, but now, then you kind of know what not to do. But I mean, maybe. I don't know if people have a thick enough skin for that.
I think MaxBet should probably lead that effort.
We want to still be on the air in a year, so I don't know if that's like in our best interest.
Well, I mean, I could think of some folks that love that. I mean, it would be funny.
It would be funny. Okay, so we need to talk about persistence. Because that's a big topic these days.
Yes.
Especially with, like, the pot games.
Well, perceived persistence and real persistence, very different animals.
That's
right?
true.
What about it? It's here to stay, I'll tell you that much. It's not going anywhere.
Perceived or true? Or both?
Well, probably both, but perceived is certainly the trend. I think real persistence can be more difficult to pull in bigger ways. You can use the real persistence in kind of these small ways. Bonus must hit by X spins or whatnot. I come from a company that I'd argue did some of the first real persistence. Must win by jackpots, right? But on the big macro level, the perceived persistence, I mean, it's almost every game, it feels like, at this point.
It's like 80 to 90% of the top titles are all perceived right now.
Enough that I hesitate to greenlight projects that don't have some element of it. You said if 90% of the top 25 games for the last 3 years have some element of this growing pot, like, I think I'm a pretty smart guy. Like, I can figure things out, but I don't think that I'm so smart I'm going to crack the code. I'd rather hedge my bets with, like, okay, what can we do really cool in this sort of bucket that we know players are responding to and are searching for on the casino floor?
I feel like most people have more of an opinion about true persistence, but I would say there's also a percentage who are thinking perceived is great and obviously well played, and people are buying into it and they like it. But what's the line when it comes to, like, the ethics of the perceived persistence? That can be tricky. Like, do you have more regulation coming out about it? Like, do you want more regulation when it comes to that? Because I can tell you what, I've talked to so many slot players and they love to talk about these games, but they will not believe you if you tell them that it's not. They know, they feel like they went in on that one day and it would look like that, and the pot closed after how many spins.
Look, I'll leave the questions of regulatory authority up to the regulators, of which there are many, but I can say that from an Eclipse perspective, the true persistence, I mean, we're Class 2 bingo-based math. It's very difficult for us to do that. It doesn't work like Class 3 math. So doing real persistence in that case is not something that we would dive into. From the perceived persistence, I don't know that I'm the one to comment on the ethics of it. I'm a player. I love it. Like, I don't feel like it's doing something uncanny. It's worth noting, you can't do that in Australia. I don't know. I mean, look, players love it, right?
Yeah.
And the market and the manufacturers, as a product developer or a product marketer or anything I am, like, I need to give the players what they want. At the end of the day, the players are the decider. Right now, it's very clear they've decided they love these things. And hats off to some of those games early on, I don't know what some of the first, I remember the first time I saw it on a huge level was just like the old school, like, Rake and Bacon blowing up, and it was done before that in various ways. And ultimately, the game pays fairly to the player. And if the player has a good experience and the game's treated them fair and it's passed regulation, like, some of the best games certainly I've been involved in have that.
Let's talk about hardware, because you
Let's
guys
talk about hardware.
You have your new Calypso.
Yeah, we do.
So close to the Twilight, but
not quite though.
Not quite there. Still a really cool name though.
Yeah.
Cabinets obviously matter. Player experience, merchandise, all of that.
For sure.
But do you think we're overcomplicating hardware sometimes? Like, do you think the players really care about it as much as we think they do?
Well, the data shows they do, right? Anytime a new piece of hardware goes out there, not anytime, but it does pretty well, right? Particularly, when you talk about these big ticket items from major companies, right? The players vote with their wallet, and, you look at some of those, particularly in the sort of the lease space, as they call it, or the participation space, the games are doing really well. Are we complicating it? I don't know. I think there's an expectation of the players at this point that many of these things are there. Touchscreen button decks, the buttons on both sides of the cabinet, they want a certain resolution, because that's what people are used to seeing on their home TVs, everywhere else. I don't know that we're overcomplicating it, right? I mean, the sign packages are, for smaller companies, can be financially burdensome, quite frankly, right? If you don't have that bulk of purchase or the ability to have these big ticket IP type items that are gonna hit that price point. I don't know, it's been overcomplicated. I think it's been a never ending process. I remember my first year in gaming sitting there and talking about the new Bally V22, right? And you're like, oh my goodness. And it's like 22 now would be like a 49 standard now. So, well, that's the world, right? I think it's overcomplicated, and I don't know. Players have a minimum. This is what I say. I think players have a minimum they're looking for, that they're comfortable sitting down and it feels good to them. Whether it's because it's an old friend, right? Oh, I've been playing that for years. I know it. Or it's new and it feels inviting. I do think when some of the stuff, whether it's different elements or the screen resolution isn't what it is a player turnoff. And it's keeping up with your neighbors. If everybody else has a 49-inch screen, like, I better have one because my game looks terrible with a 43 now. And that's only going to continue to grow.
What's one of the coolest features you've seen on a cabinet? Or one that you sit down and you're like, I hope they have this.
So, I'm a guy, I like the double buttons.
Okay.
I like that.
Why did they do that?
I like the double buttons because, like, whether I'm playing with my wife or I'm playing tonight, I'm sure some colleagues and I will go out and play, is you can have both people kind of playing it.
Okay.
I like that element. Or I like different things. I can switch it up. Because if I'm not winning, it's probably because I'm not trying hard enough. So maybe the other button will work.
It's obviously a you.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen some really cool. I remember one. This was a Scientific Games thing years and years ago that I was convinced was going to be great, and it was the digital screen, and there was a wheel on top, but it was like a hard wheel you could spin. Like, that was really cool. Never went anywhere, so what do I know? But I'm simple. I never want to forget what it's like to just be the gambler, or what it's like to be, my mom going into a casino, and what's going to be approachable to her. And I think you can tilt over that line at points where the game's too much, or the angle's not right and you're staring up, or these more little things that I'm probably more cognizant of.
What's your favorite Eclipse game? Like, if you're going to go to a casino and you're looking at a row of Eclipse games, which one are you going to sit down?
I mean, you have to go with the coin pusher games, right? I mean, it's so much fun, and it's a unique thing that's unique to us. So Big Shake 2 will be my answer, just because I think of all things in the Eclipse portfolio, that's probably the most unique, and something as a developer, it would be not giving away secrets. It will change here in a few months once we start getting a few more out.
All right. Like after G2E, they
might change. Usually that's like a big. Usually that would be a good time to find a new favorite child in the portfolio. Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Do you have any good gaming stories? You're obviously a gambler.
Oh, I mean,
gaming stories.
Gambling stories. I can tell you a million things.
It could be gambling, or it could just be gaming, like just...
like inside baseball type stuff?
Could be.
I don't know there's any I want to share on the podcast. Okay. I mean, there's just, like, so much that happens behind the scenes, right? You wonder, like, now they do all these shows, right? It's like, oh, it's the oil industry, or it's the ranching industry, or whatnot. Like, somebody should so do one. Although I think everybody thinks their thing is, like, so important, and, like, I don't know how you'd make that entertaining. But, I mean, there's wild stuff that happens, like just anything from a president of a company I won't name but knows who they are spilling a soda on a white carpet like the night before G2E, right? To, like, to me getting interviewed as a very young employee and, like, saying a pretty bad swear word in a printed article. You can find it and link to it in the show notes. I think the statute of limitations
It's still out there?
It was not too long ago, because this came up, and they're like, what was the worst day in your career? And I was like, oh, I've got it. And yeah, I said a bad word, apparently, I don't know, in this interview, and it ended up on, like, the front page of Yahoo News and stuff. I'm shocked. I know there's a couple people... Julia Boguslavsky was probably the one who saved me from being fired, but it was definitely, like, not a great day.
Okay.
Not a great day.
Can you tell us what the context was? Like, was it a warranted?
It was like totally unwarranted. It was yeah, it was not great. Like really bad.
So we're just gonna have to link to that and
you
find out ourselves.
You could find it. Yeah, I'll get you the link.
Okay.
Yeah, just what I need.
The link
Actually,
will be in the bio.
I was at a casino once. I won't say what casino, where I was just sitting there and I watched a guy take a hammer out of his pants and go to town on a machine. That was probably the wildest one I've seen.
I think I would have led with that one. I think that one would have been.
I know. I wasn't as prepared as I should be for this one.
So typically at the end of every episode, Mike and I will go over what we call garbage time.
Okay.
And I will just pitch him either just terrible ideas.
Okay.
Or I'll give him like rapid fire. You have to choose one of these.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna give you some rapid fire.
Okay.
And you just have to top your head, like the first thing that pops your head. Okay. More volatility or more frequency.
Volatility.
Feature innovation or cabinet innovation.
Feature.
Gen Z or VIPs.
VIPs.
Licensed IP or original game brands.
Oh, original. 100%.
Oh, hard on that one. All right. Predictive analytics or historical data.
Ooh, historical data in this industry.
Slots or tables.
Slots.
True persistence or perceived.
Perceived.
In-game promos or floor-level bonuses.
Ooh, floor-level bonuses. I still, will get my kicks out of going to get my free pie or whatever, even if I never eat it. Like, I moved recently, and I'm like, well, I got to get rid of a bunch of this stuff. Like, I really need this.
We were at a casino on the East Coast, and we were going through, like, the under tunnels or the back-end employee area. And along the sides were just pallets and pallets and pallets of camping chairs.
For sure. Oh, it's perfect.
They were like, oh, they're going to turn up for these.
Oh,
and
for sure.
I was like, really? And there was a line out the door for like hours to get their people just walking around the casino with their camping chair. And they're like, this is a set. They got to come back for the second one.
My favorite casino giveaway, I don't know what, is right now to this day, my kid, little girl Indy, when she does like her paint projects and stuff, I lay down a Palms giveaway Henderson Silver Knights beach towel, which is so thank you to the good folks at the Palms. Yeah. This is even being like San Manuel owned, and it's Henderson Silver Knights beach towel, and it's great, and it's got little kid paint all over it now, and I see this multiple times a week.
Worth it.
It was so worth it. Yeah, I only had to lose $400 to get it. Deal of the century.
Game math or game art?
Oh, math.
Class 2 or class 3?
Come on, I'm going to Eclipse class 2.
Had to ask. Predictive analytics or a gut feeling?
A gut feeling that I can check out if I'm right with predictive analytics.
Okay, well, that's both.
I know.
Okay, it feels like I got that. High volatility jackpots or frequent mini wins?
High volatility jackpots.
Go big. Okay. And we saved the heartbreaker for last. Product or marketing?
Oh boy. Look, at this point, product, right? Like, marketing's near and dear to my soul. Okay. And I like to dabble, but it's so much fun to make games. And I think those two in our industry go together a lot closer than some companies give it credit for.
I think so, too. So who do you think should sit in your seat next?
Can I do one or two?
You can do however many you want.
As
long as you just owe me an introduction to.
You should have Kelly Trask on, I would guess.
Yes.
But you should have Drew Pollock on.
Okay.
And Drew Pollock, of everybody out there, I've never even worked with him, is a huge mentor and friend of mine, and his friendship has been profound in my life. And if you want, like, great stories and, like, opinions,
I do.
Get Drew on.
Well, thanks so much for coming on today. Very exciting things to look forward to for Eclipse. We'll be checking out your G2E booth this year. Just keep going from there. But yeah, we're excited for you guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I do expect a Twilight-themed booth.
You'll have to talk to the marketing people about. I mean, The moon is super cool.
Okay.
You've got to admit.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
All
coming
right.
on today, Mike.
Sounds good.
See ya.
Thanks.